Hey, welcome back. Glad you could make it. I said I was going to do a few more videos with this horse, and already we're coming up with all kinds of stuff to talk about. And one that we're even going to show you a bit. I mentioned in the very first video how she's a senior horse. She's 21 years old. Actually, I think I said 20 in that one, but she's 21, coming 22. Doesn't matter. Could easily still have another 10 years or more left in her. We don't know. But that was one of the things I wanted to talk about is age. Some people think that that's too old. Nope. Stay tuned. I'm going to talk about one of my horses for a minute. Give you an example of how they're never too old. Okay, so this here is one of my own horses who is currently 26 years old. And most of what she knows, not all, because we actually started with her when she was, I think I got her when she was 13. I started working with her 14. Never even rode her out of the yard until she was 16, which kind of gives you an idea that older horses don't have a problem learning things, especially ones that were as messed up as this one. It's a pretty severe case, this one. You couldn't touch her, couldn't catch her, didn't want to be handled at all. As you can see now, we can do whatever we want with her, and she's not even haltered or lead on her. But much of what she has learned, very good portion of what she has learned, has been since she was 20. And like I said, she's currently 26 and still learning. So this horse right here has kind of set the stage. She has proven to me that older horses can learn. Now, I started off working with older horses, so it just kind of, it just seemed to happen. And I kind of set that as my standard of normal. So when I get a younger horse that learns really fast, that seems kind of exceptional, at least to me. So, but what I have concluded, is that an older horse absolutely can learn, particularly even ones that have been traumatized or whatever. I don't know what happened to her. I do believe she was abused a bit, not treated nice or something. I don't know the specifics. Doesn't matter. All I know is what I got. And boy, she come a long ways. She'll never be perfect, and I suspect that is going to be the case with older horses. Is if they spend enough of their life worried about things, that it's going to be really hard to reprogram them. And training an older horse is probably going to take a little bit longer because they're set in their ways. But here's living proof right here that it absolutely can be done. Older horses are perfectly capable of learning. I think as long as, I've said this many times, that, even with perfectly normal horses that haven't been traumatized, abused, or anything like that, that they will learn until their dying day. And I think that's true of humans as well. And, yes, dear, in a minute. And I think that's true of humans as well. As long as the brain is still functioning the way it should, there's absolutely no reason that they can't learn right up to their dying day. So, this is inspired by the fact that, somebody, and I kind of alluded to this in my first video with her, is that somebody had actually alluded to the fact that I'm wasting my time on a 20-year-old horse, that you can't help her, she's too old, you can't learn at that age. I don't believe that's true at all. This is living proof right here. Like I said, she's 26 now, and most of what she has learned has been since she was 20. So I don't think that that's an issue. So I just thought I'd show you this one here. And I'm going to go talk about something else now that we're going to be showing you in a minute. And I want to talk about focus and explain the importance of, because a lot of guys, they get fairly obsessed about the importance of focus, but they don't bother to explain how it works or why it's important or any of that stuff. And I want to go there. I want to explain to you the importance of having your horse's focus, because if the horse is focused on you, it's far more soft. The cues are going to be softer. It's going to be more responsive. All these things that you really want in a good horse. On top of that, if you got a particularly anxious horse, if they're focused on you, they don't worry about the other things around them because they're paying attention to you. They don't care about the noise out there or the little visual image over there. They're thinking about being somewhere else. They're more concerned with you and what you want, and they're going to be paying attention to you. And I wish I could find the video that I watched years ago. That I already understood the concept, how it worked, but I saw a great little video, and I'm going to explain to you how that little video played out. It had nothing to do with horses, but it applies absolutely 100% to horses in the same way. The video starts off with a bunch of basketball players passing the ball around, and the video starts out and says, how many times do they pass the ball? So you watch this little video clip, and it shows these guys passing the ball back and forth. And at the end of that clip, it says, okay, now how many of you noticed the moonwalking bear? I'm like, what? Well, they replayed that clip, and sure enough, there's a guy in a bear suit moonwalking across the middle of the basketball court. Not way off in the background either. I mean, just right immediately behind the basketball player, so he's taken up like about 2/3 of the screen kind of thing. I mean, it's very, very obvious. And I thought, okay, that's a trick. They just put that in there. So I went back to the very beginning of this video and watched right from the beginning, and sure enough, this guy was there. This dude in a bear suit moonwalking backwards across the middle of the basketball court. Didn't even notice he was there because I was focused on how many times these guys were passing the ball around, which, by the way, was inconsequential. They never did mention that, how many times, because it really didn't matter. They were making a point that if you're focused on one thing, you don't notice the others. And something as obvious as a guy in a bear suit moonwalking across a basketball court should have been quite obvious, but missed it. Well, I did, and I think most people that watched that video did. Now, I was thinking of looking for that video, see if I could find it, which probably would have taken a while, and then putting a link to it. But, well, now that I've told you the story, it wouldn't do any good anyhow, because you'd see the guy in the bear suit. But that's the point, is, if you're focused on one thing, you don't notice the other things. Even something that's extremely obvious, and this is exactly the same principle that I believe works when you're talking about horses and having them focused on you, and why it's beneficial, because you can have a very, very worried horse that's real excited and jumpy and nervous and everything else. But if it's focused on you, whether you're on the ground or on its back, if it's paying attention to you, it's going to be far more concerned with what you want, your cues, and that sort of thing. And it's not going to be as likely to bolt, buck, spook, and all those things that horses are inclined to do when they get a little concerned about stuff. So that's the concept, and why I believe focus works is because if they're focused on you, they don't pay much attention to anything else. And of course, there's the other benefit of, the more they're focused on you, the softer they are, and the more responsive they are, all things that you want. So I'll give you a demo here right away, and I'll show you how it works, or how I hope it works. It's been working in the past. We're going to try it again in here in a minute. We'll see. I'll show you. Okay, on the subject of focus, I'm going to show you something we've been doing here, because we're going to get her focused on me. At least that's our goal anyhow. And I suspect because of her severity, it's going to take a while. And part of the problem, actually, is that she's a fairly intelligent horse, and you got to keep that mind busy. Otherwise, she starts thinking about all kinds of things she shouldn't be thinking about. For those of you that watched my last video, you'll notice that from beginning to end, she got worse and worse as we just stood there talking to a camera, because I wasn't keeping her busy. Her mind wasn't occupied, so it allowed her to think about things she shouldn't be thinking about. And that's one of the purposes of focus, is we're going to get her focused on me, thinking about me, and then she won't be so worried about, well, what's going on outside. Now, one of the things that we have kind of narrowed down, and many of the problems that you're going to have with horses, it doesn't matter what they've experienced, if it's just somebody went too fast training them, or they had some kind of abuse or trauma in their life or whatever to make them rather nervous, you still deal with it pretty much always the same. And I go back quite a ways to a video I did where I was talking about dealing with abused horses, is all horses have things that they're worried about, little fears and things that they got to deal with, and well, you got to address them pretty much all exactly the same. So, yeah, right now I just brought her in. She was actually better to catch and lead today than she has been, so that was an improvement right there. And we've only brought her in here, I think, 3 times now, and so in relatively short times, but we were consistent to with our leading and catching and everything, so she's getting better. But she's also fairly calm still because she just got here. Although the minute I got in here and took the other lead off her and she was running around loose, she was calling to the other horses immediately. So one of the things I want to talk about is she's herd bound, which is actually 100% natural. The horses are herd animals. They like to be with other horses. She is very insecure when it comes to being by herself. If she's with other horses, not so much a problem. The first time I had her in here, I had my other 4 in here. And she was much different. The last couple of times I had her in here was by herself. Very different horse. She wanted to be out there in the pasture with her buddies. Perfectly normal. Well, I'm going to show you how we're going to address this and get her to not worry about the other horses and give her something to think about, keep her focused on me. And remember, I just talked about focus, how important that is. If they're looking at one thing, they don't pay attention to the others. Get back in just a sec. I'm going to go grab my flag. Now I'm going to make every attempt to stay on camera while we're doing this so you can see what we're doing. We're going to move back out a little ways. So far, actually, at the moment, she's really good. But I would actually prefer if she wasn't right now, so it'd make it easier to show the progress, because each time I've done this with her, she's gotten better. Now you'll notice that this is a different lead than I usually use. This is my training lead. It's a little bit longer. This one is actually about 18 feet long. Oh, there we go. She's not paying attention. She was heading for the door. The door is over that direction. That's what she's looking at. She's focused on the door. She wants to go back out to the other horses. Okay, already the problems are starting to occur. And if we let her just stand around for a few more minutes here, it's going to get worse. But I don't really want to wait that long. And I actually have somebody else coming along right away here with their horse that needs a little help. So we're going to get going here right away with this one. Now what we're going to do to keep her focused on me is simply, very, very simply actually, is just give her something to do. And, eventually we want to be able to get her walk, trot, canter, all this stuff on the lead. But at the moment, we just want her to move. It gives her something to do. And then... well, every time she's not paying attention to me, we're going to change directions. And we don't really want her getting all frantic and running, which she is inclined to do occasionally. So if she starts picking up speed, we're just going to change direction immediately, because then she's paying attention to me and she's relaxing. And you will notice from beginning to end, hopefully, you're going to see an improvement in her, because every time I've done this within a matter of minutes, there's been an improvement. So we're going to start off, ask her to move. Oh, guess what? She's not going. Now, one of my theories is use as much force as necessary, but no more than necessary. You'll notice I got my flag with me. Well, this is actually one of them. It's a homemade one made out of what was left of a lunge whip and an old piece of tarp. You can make a flag out of anything, by the way. Anyhow, now, due to the varying sensitivity of horses, the first time you use a flag, you're going to bring it up slow. You're not going to come running in, waving it like a lunatic. This horse in particular, she's actually quite sensitive. It doesn't take much, a little wiggle like that. See what happened there? And that wasn't even anywhere near, right? It's behind me. Okay. I'm just going to bring it out slowly. Come on. There we go. Oh, she's very worried right now. There we go. That's better, though. She doesn't usually start off this slow. Usually she starts off running. Now we're just going to change directions. I just heard a horse calling outside, and immediately her ears flicked in that direction. So she wasn't paying attention to me. I did not ask you to stop just yet. Keep going. There we go. Thank you, dear. And she's actually doing very well today. This is very nice and calm. Usually at this point, she's running around like a lunatic. Like I said, we've only done this 3 times now, and already you're seeing significant improvements. This is not what we got the first time. Okay, you're going to stop. And if she doesn't stop, I got a couple of options to deal with that. But I want to change directions. I don't even care if she stops. But I just moved the flag out a little bit in that direction to block her, so that she would have had to get closer to the flag if she wanted to keep going that direction. So I was actually using the flag, even though, see, she wasn't paying attention to me. She didn't see my arm come out. Because that's what you want. You want to be able to control the horse by just pointing the directions you want it to go. I shouldn't have to use the flag. It's just here in case, actually. See, that's one of the advantages of the longer lead, too, which a lot of you aren't going to have, is you can actually use the end of it to drive the horse instead of your flag. I'll just give a little demonstration on that. Put the flag down on the ground for a minute. And there we go. Just like that. You can use the end of your lead. That's the nice thing about a longer lead. It's also nice. Oh, she's speeding up. There. She was getting all worried she wasn't paying attention to me. She heard a horse calling outside again. There we go. She's back to a nice slow gait. And you saw as soon as she picked up speed, I immediately changed direction. She had no choice but to pay attention to me. Keep going. Keep going, dear. Thank you. There we go. See, I don't actually need the flag, but did you see her head come up and the ears are pricked? She wasn't paying attention to me when she stopped there. That's why we actually had a little trouble getting her going again. But just because out that direction, when she faces that way, that's where the horses are. Yeah, she's turned her head out. Okay. I'm going to change direction. Every time I notice something where she's not paying attention to me, I'm going to change direction. We don't have to do anything drastic. You know, it can be very soft and subtle. But all these just tiny little things like this get her focused on me. She has no choice but to pay attention to me, because you never know what these crazy humans are going to do, you know. Humans are weirdos. Well, you don't want to listen? There we go. Good girl. Humans are strange. You never know what their crazy human's going to be doing. So you better be paying attention to them. And that's kind of what we're trying to instill in them, is we want her, keep going. There we go. Go. There we go. When you see the head coming down like that, and the ears are moving around a little more like radar dishes, like they're supposed to. Oh, head just popped up. She heard something outside. A horse there's some wood outside there that they step on. It makes noise. That's what she heard. And you notice right away her head popped up. Oh, she's paying attention to the horses. Oh, she can stop and relieve herself now. I don't care. You can get going. You can go while you're relieving yourself. That's all right. You can do that. I actually prefer they do it in one spot, but because this makes more work for me cleaning it up later. Minor detail. Actually, I spotted some more over there I'm going to have to pick up too. But you see, every time that you see that your head just went up, so it can change direction until she figures out that, you know, I better just keep an eye on this guy. And if she keeps an eye on me, she's not going to be concerned about the noises outside or the other horses. See, every once in a while their head still turns out, and every time it does, I'm going to change direction. If I see the head come up a bit or turn out, if the ears get pricked forward, and this is what you can do with your horse. You want to do that, okay. Now she just called out to one of the other horses. That's definitely not good. What? Yeah, she's not paying attention. She's looking at the door. She's much more concerned about the other horses. Keep going, dear. There we go. But any horse that's a little bit anxious, a little worried, a little nervous, you can do this with. And I suspect that we're going to be doing this for quite a while. And I just saw her not paying attention again. See, the minute that arm comes up, she knows enough. She's sensitive enough. That should be a cue in itself. Shouldn't have to do anything else. So if she does not immediately respond, like she just looked out at that door. There we go. Keep going. There we go. And you just see her looking over that way. There's horses on the other side of that wall. And like I said, you're probably going to have to do this another 50, 100, maybe 200 times. I don't know. Don't care. Doesn't matter. We'll do it as much as we need to until she's completely focused on me and relaxed. See, her head keeps turning out. So we're just going to keep changing directions and keep her moving back and forth every time she gets uptight or not paying attention to me. We're giving her something to do. We're just going to give her something to pay attention to. Real simple. Like I said, this isn't rocket science. This is pretty easy stuff to do. Any of you can do it. If you have a shorter lead, you can do it. Still do the same thing. Just use your flag or whatever you got handy, because you won't have the extra lead available. So you'll have to have something else to drive the horse with. But every time I see her look the other way like I just did, you might not do that. Was pretty subtle. Don't get going there, dear. It was pretty subtle, but she was still a little concerned with what was on the other side of that wall over there, which is where the horses are. There we go. I just heard a nice big sigh out of her. That's very good. That's an excellent sign. Means she's relaxing a bit, calming down. You notice the head's coming down even a little bit more now. And this is what you have to do. It's not fancy stuff, but it requires patience and a lot of repetitions. And you just keep doing it over and over and over, and you could be doing this for weeks, months, who knows. Oh, you're definitely not paying attention. Look at her. Okay. See? We're not done. We're nowhere near done. We're just playing around here. We're just getting going. We're just getting started with this one. Because at her age and due to the severity of her problem, I suspect this is going to take quite some time. And that's okay, because even if it takes a whole year, it'll be time well spent, because if you stop and think about it, I mean, well, it could be even longer, but even if she has, say, 10 years of rideable life in her, if she has 10 years of rideable life and we spend an entire year working on the problems, that means she still gets to be ridden for 9 years. And I just saw her head come up, and she's looking over that way. So we immediately give her something to think about. We're just going to change. We're going to do a couple quick little direction changes here, so that she really has to pay attention. There we go. Oh, now she's definitely not paying attention again. Darn it. I wasn't close enough to the end of the lead to use. Oh, now she's speeding up. Oh. Yeah, you got to go the other way, dear. There we go. That's better. Keep going. There we go. Lovely. Like I say, this isn't a quick fix. This horse is absolutely not going to be a quick fix. I've mentioned that in my comments in a previous video. It's going to take a while, and like I said, I don't even care if it takes a year, because, like I said, if she's got 10 years rideable in her, and it takes a year, that's still 9 years you can ride this horse. That's not a bad deal. That's still a pretty good investment of time, I think. But this is the kind of thing we're just going to do a lot with, and she's absolutely not paying attention there. There we go. Come on. I wasn't holding the rope right for that. Oh, that's way too fast. Come on. There we go. That's better. See, she's a little nervous right now. I'm going to change direction again. Come on. There we go. That's better. Nice big sigh. You see her slowing down, head coming down, and that's what you want. So I think that's enough for this video. You got the idea. This is what you do. You get an anxious horse. Just give it something to think about that doesn't involve all the things that normally have it worried. It's basically all you're doing. You're just distracting it. Or anything, but it's not just distraction. It is focus. You're getting the horse focused on you. And which is, got a snort out of her. I think it's because I picked up the flag. She doesn't like this thing much. She'll get used to it eventually, though. Pretty soon we'll be able to rub her all over with it without her having a fit. Right now, I think actually I did rub her with it the other day, but had to approach her pretty carefully. So, but in time, she's going to get used to this thing. It's not going to really mean a whole lot to her, but I just wanted to give you a quick little example there of what you can do with your horse if you got a worried, anxious horse for any reason whatsoever. Just give it something to think about that isn't what it's worrying about. It's really that simple. So, there you go. Little tip on what to do with your horse. It doesn't matter what the trauma was or whether it was abused, traumatized, or somebody just trained it a little too fast. Anything that makes the horse anxious and nervous and worried, pretty much all exactly the same. Still deal with it the same way. A lot of people think, what do you do for this situation? Well, you don't do the same thing for that as you do for that, do you? Well, of course you do. It's the same problem in the end. You got a worried horse. And we want to cure the worry, so we want to give her something to think about. And with this horse, it's a little bit more of a challenge, too, because of, first off, her age. She's been worried for many years, so it's kind of programmed that way. We've got to reprogram her brain. Plus, she is actually a pretty smart and sensitive horse, characteristics that I happen to like in a horse. Unfortunately, the downside of that is being both sensitive and intelligent just makes these kinds of problems that much worse, a little tougher to deal with. But that's okay. We'll get there. All a good time. Lots of time. Have a good day.